The four most common forms of excusitis. Excusitis appears in a wide variety of forms, but the worst types of this disease are health excusitis, intelligence excusitis, age excusitis, and luck excusitis. Now, let's see just how we can protect ourselves from these four common ailments. Number 1. But my health isn't good. Health excusitis ranges all the way from the chronic, I don't feel good, to the more specific, I have got such and such wrong with me. Bad health, in 1,000 different forms, is used as an excuse for failing to do what a person wants to do, failing to accept greater responsibilities, failing to make more money, failing to achieve success. Millions and millions of people suffer from health excusitis, but is it in most cases a legitimate excuse? Think for a moment of all the highly successful people you know who could, but who don't, use health as an excuse. My physician and surgeon friends tell me the perfect specimen of adult life is non-existent. There is something physically wrong with everybody. Many surrender in whole or in part to health excusitis, but success-thinking people do not. 2 experiences happened to me in one afternoon that illustrate the correct and incorrect attitudes toward health. I had just finished a talk in Cleveland. Afterwards, one fellow, about 30, asked to speak to me privately for a few minutes. He complimented me on the meeting but then said, "I'm afraid your ideas can't do me much good." He continued, "I have got a bad heart and I have got to hold myself in check." He went on to explain that he was seeing 4 doctors but they couldn't find his trouble. He asked what I would suggest he do. I said, "Well, I know nothing about the heart, but as one layman to another, here are 3 things I would do. First, I would visit the finest heart specialist I could find and accept his diagnosis as final. You have already checked with 4 doctors, and none of them has found anything peculiar with your heart. Let the 5th doctor be your final check. It may very well be you have got a perfectly sound heart, but if you keep on worrying about it, eventually you may have a very serious heart ailment." Looking and looking and looking for an illness often actually produces illness. The second thing I would recommend is that you read Dr. Schindler's great book, How to Live 365 Days a Year. Dr. Schindler shows in this book that 3 out of every 4 hospital beds are occupied by people who have emotionally induced illness. Imagine 3 out of 4 people who are sick right now would be well if they had learned how to handle their emotions. Read Dr. Schindler's book and develop your program for emotions management. Third, I will resolve to live until I die. I went on to explain to this troubled fellow some sound advice I received many years ago from a lawyer friend who had an arrested case of tuberculosis. This friend knew he would have to live a regulated life, but this hasn't stopped him from practicing law, rearing a fine family, or really enjoying life. My friend, who now is 78 years old, expresses his philosophy in these words: "I am going to live until I die, and I am not going to get life and death confused. While I am on this earth, I am going to live. Why be only half alive?" Every minute a person spends worrying about dying is just 1 minute that fellow might as well have been dead. I had to live at that point, because I had to be on a certain plane for Detroit. On the plane, the second but much more pleasant experience occurred. After the noise of the takeoff, I heard a ticking sound, rather startled. I glanced at the fellow sitting beside me, for the sound seemed to be coming from him. He smiled, a big smile, and said, "Oh, it's not a bomb, it's just my heart." I was obviously surprised, so he proceeded to tell me what had happened. Just 21 days before, he had undergone an operation that involved putting a plastic valve into his heart. The ticking sound, he explained, would continue for several months until new tissue had grown over the artificial valve. I asked him what he was going to do. He said, "Oh, I've got big plans. I'm going to study law when I get back to Minnesota. Someday I hope to be in government work. The doctor told me I must take it easy for a few months, but after that I will be like new." There you have two ways of meeting health problems. The first fellow, not even sure he had anything organically wrong with him, was very depressed on the road to defeat, wanting somebody to second his motion that he couldn't go forward. The second individual, after undergoing one of the most difficult of operations, was optimistic, eager to do something. The difference lay in how they thought toward health. Your health is your life. Build up your health and live your life perfectly. Thank you.